Welcome to the DAC podcast. My name is Lydia Miller, and in this podcast, I'm talking through the things that I'm learning in an MBA program and how I'm applying that information to my small business. Thanks for joining me. Now let's get started. Hey everybody, this is Lydia Miller, and if you are new, then I just want to welcome you to the DAC podcast. I started this podcast to share things that I am learning through an MBA program as I'm running and growing my own small business, and I want to thank you for listening and for supporting me. And we are right in the middle of July right now if you are listening in real time, and I am near the end of 3 more MBA classes, an accounting class, an HR class, and a leadership class, and right now I am on track to finish in the fall. I only have 2 more classes and those will start in August, and I am so excited to finish and to have the letters behind my name and to start putting my time and effort towards the next big project that I'm working on. So it's been a super busy summer, but it's been really productive, and I'm really proud of the progress that I've made so far, even though in summertime I tend to lose a lot of motivation to do things. And this last week, with it being July and I live in Florida and it's just so hot here, I've definitely felt the motivation slipping, but I think we can all agree that we just need to keep moving forward one task at a time. So if you are listening in real time, then I just want to make sure that you know that I offer a few things beyond just this podcast. If you don't know, I have a small bookkeeping company here in Pensacola where I help nonprofits with their bookkeeping. And part of that is, one, I offer webinars once a week on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Central Time. The topics vary week by week, and this next week on the 19th, I am going to be doing a webinar on the chart of accounts in QuickBooks Online and reports and how you can use that and optimize it for your nonprofit. So if you are interested in that, make sure that you click on the link in the show notes and get registered for that and be ready to learn. You don't have to worry about even taking notes during that, because I'm going to send you the recording afterwards. If you have any questions or things like that, make sure that you send them to me ahead of time so I can work it into my presentation. And I've done one before. I've been doing webinars and they're really fun. It's one of those things that's getting me out of my shell, my box, and doing different things. So I've really enjoyed it, and I hope that you will as well. And the second thing that I want to make sure that you know about is that I offer strategy sessions. Now, these are going to be different than anything else I do because this is customized to you and customized to the problems that you're facing in your own business. And I am drawing off of my MBA education, my experience, and the books that I've read and all my experiences to help you get the result that you need and that you're looking for, and help you create a strategic plan to make progress in the area that you're looking for. And because this is kind of a new area of my business, but that I'm loving, I am offering a few more free calls. Now, we do this over Zoom so that we can see each other, and all you have to do to register for that is to send me an email at lydia@dacbalance.com, and there I'll send you a questionnaire where you fill out all these questions about your business and tell me a little bit about it and let me know what you're struggling with, and then I look at that and I kind of create some steps, and then once we get on the call, then you can ask your questions and I'll answer them, and then we'll go through some of the things that I've thought about to help you out a little bit. So I've loved doing those so far, and I would love to help you out. Now, I am offering a few more free calls for this because I have promised that, and because I do want a little bit more experience with it before I start to offer it. But once those run out, they're only going to be paid after that, and I'm not going to have any more specials for that. And the going rate right now for those is starting at $250. So if you are thinking about doing it, go ahead and do it now, because this is the best opportunity for you and it's not going to last forever. In today's podcast, we're going to talk through the consumer buying process. Now, the consumer isn't necessarily thinking through these 5 things and breaking it down in their mind while they're doing things, but this is something that just naturally happens whenever somebody purchases something. And you can think through that as well whenever you're buying something, or if you've ever just gone to the store and realized something. So there are 5 steps to this, and I'll give you the steps now and then we'll break it down. So the first step is the need recognition. The second is information search. The third is evaluation of alternatives. The fourth step is the purchase decision, and the fifth is the post-purchase evaluation. The first category or the first step in the consumer buying process is the need recognition. And this is whenever somebody realizes that they need something, which is exactly what it says. And sometimes people don't realize that they need something. Now, this is definitely the most important step in the process because you can't have the rest without this. And this is where your marketing really comes in to show somebody that they need what you have, even if they don't realize that it exists or that it's out there or that there's a gap where that you could fill the problem to their solution. So sometimes people are going to realize that they have a problem and they just don't know where to turn to find it. I've had this with my clients before where we've needed a certain program to do something and I've thought if only there's something to do this or if there's only something to fill this problem. For example, I work with a lot of nonprofits and one of the things is that one of the ways for funding is nonprofits get grants and they can apply for grants and things like that. But the problem is it takes a lot of time. And not only does it take a lot of time, is that grant writers specifically tend to be very expensive. So if you know of someone like this, email me and let me know. I've been thinking there's got to be somebody out there who will write a grant and apply for it, and as their fee, they take a percentage of the grant. Because a lot of these smaller nonprofits don't have the money to pay somebody and not get results. They need the results, and there's got to be somebody out there who is excellent at what they do, that they know how to find grants and can apply for them, and then just take a percentage of the grant if that's even okay. I'm not even sure about all of that. So if you know of somebody who does something similar to that, please email me, lydia@dacbalance.com. We need to talk. So this is the stage, the need recognition is where you build category awareness, and you have to build category awareness and then build it fast. This is the most important step in the entire process. So if you offer something, especially if you're an entrepreneur, or if you've just opened up a new business, this is where you need to be doing the marketing, letting people know, working your personal network, putting things online, making sure that people know that you exist, and making sure that you communicate the problem to your customers well so that they realize that there's a solution for their problem and get them to start seeing that they have this problem that you're trying to solve for them. Number 2, information search. And this is when the consumer goes out looking for information. So they're Googling it, they're looking on YouTube, they're looking on Pinterest. This is where your content marketing is key, because I want you to break down what you do into a problem that your customer is having. So for my business, it's bookkeeping, and I use QuickBooks Online. So for my content marketing, I need to be focusing on like tutorials to share with people. Okay, so someone's realized that they need a QuickBooks Online account. So what do? How am I supposed to open up a QuickBooks Online account? Well, I have a video for that. And then once they log in, what do they do after that? And I have a webinar on the basics of QuickBooks Online. And all of those things start to feel really natural as far as your content marketing goes once you've started to think about what is the customer looking for, what information, what questions do they have, how can I answer those questions, how can I be the first person that they see. SEO optimization is really important here. When people Google something or Google a question, that your information pops up first and that they are able to find what they're looking for right away. So this is where you start doing the content marketing, and not just putting content out there that you think is great information, but content that you think your customer is going to need and will solve their problem. And it might just be super basic. It might be just, just looking at QuickBooks Online or whatever you're doing. Or if you're a photographer and if someone's looking for a photographer, maybe you just put out a few things to think about before you go to your session, things like that, where it's almost common sense to you at this point because you've been doing it for so long, but you want to make sure that the information is there for your consumer so that they see you as the person to go to for information, and eventually they'll purchase from you. Number 3, in the consumer buying process, the first was need recognition, the second was information search, and the third is the evaluation of alternatives. And this is where people think, will this satisfy my need? Will this fulfill what I'm looking for? Now, whenever people are going to purchase this, they're probably on your website looking at what you're selling to order it. Or if you're in a store, they're probably, just standing in your store, just trying to decide if this is what's going to fulfill the problem. So make sure that whenever they're checking out, that you have listed all of the things that this is going to do. And this is where you want to be really honest if they're looking at something and, setting the realistic expectations for them. I talked about that a few episodes ago, where you want to be honest with your consumers and make sure that you set the expectations so that when they purchase something, they don't regret it later. So even on, let's say you're giving a webinar, you want to be clear about what you're talking about and don't overpromise. For the QuickBooks Online Basics webinar that I do, I don't put on there that they are going to be a guru or anything like that afterwards. My goal for them is to be able to log into QuickBooks Online and to feel confident to go in on their own and to look for what they need and find it. That's all I'm doing. I'm not even promising that they are going to have the correct information or anything like that. It's just finding the report or finding the button or finding where to input something. That's my goal for that. It would be wrong of me to say anything otherwise, because that's not my goal and that's not going to be the result. So you want to make sure that when the customer is in this stage of evaluating all of the alternatives, that they have all the information there and that it's realistic for them, so that you're not showing a bad light. And this doesn't mean that you have to say you're not going to get this, you're not going to get that from this product. But what you can say, even if it's like a candle, you can say it'll burn for 30 hours. Just be very realistic with them and make sure that they understand what the product will do for them so that they can make the best choice. The purchase decision is exactly what it sounds like. It's whenever somebody decides if they actually want what you're offering or not. And sometimes the answer is no, and that's okay. But if the answer is no, then you can do a few things. You can ask them why not. There's nothing wrong at this step to ask why somebody didn't purchase something or why it didn't fulfill a need. There might be an opportunity there for you to fulfill that need with a similar product and to make more sales. Another thing that you could do is to see what's important to them. What's most important to your consumer? Are they struggling with purchasing because the shipping prices aren't included and they don't want to pay for shipping? That might be an easy choice to just raise your prices by like $5 and then to be able to put beside it that the shipping is already included. If that's important to your customers, then that might be a small fix that you could do to increase the likelihood of them purchasing your product. So you have to know what your customer is looking for and be able to fill that need so that the decision is yes whenever they're purchasing something. And number 5, post-purchase evaluation. So this is whenever people are really happy with you or they are not happy with you. There's something called cognitive dissonance, and the definition here in my notes is the uneasy feeling after a purchase or buyer's remorse. We've all had that before, hopefully not with a huge purchase, even though you mainly get it after bigger purchases, but sometimes even smaller things that you buy or courses or things online, you think, why did I buy that? Did I really need it? You want to make sure that whenever somebody buys from you, that they are buying for what's important to them and that you remind them what you're doing. And most of the time, we as consumers are going to purchase for our ideal self and not for our actual self. And I know that's true for me for sure. So whenever I purchase things or courses, most of the time I will overwhelm myself with things to be doing and looking at, especially in business in particular. I'm buying all of these different programs and things to plug in, but most of the time I do not have the time to do all of it. I'm very busy with different things and I'll forget that I purchased something, and then it'll come up on a bill later on and I'll realize, oh, I did buy that. And did I really need it? I haven't used it very much. And then there's something wrong with the company or the product. I just simply haven't used it yet. So you want to make sure that in the post-purchase evaluation that you give the opportunity for the consumer to use the product and to remember why they bought it and remember what the I guess, what the benefit to having your product is, and to making sure that they're using it, and to seeing if you can help them with any problems so that you get more customers satisfied with what they purchased instead of dissatisfied and not so happy with your brand, even though it could have absolutely nothing to do with you. It could just be that they purchased something and didn't have the time to use it. You want to make sure that after they purchase it, that there is an opportunity to use the product and that you set that up as well. It could look like if you sell something that for them to use, that you set up like a free webinar for everyone who's purchased this product in the last few months to get together and to set it up, or to set up the planner, or to set up the goal sheet, or whatever you're selling afterwards, that they have the opportunity to actually use it and to enjoy the product that they've purchased. And we have to think like the consumer and know what their post-purchase thoughts are going to be like. And I would even ask, like, a few weeks or months or however long it is after somebody's bought from you, just send them a survey and ask what their experience was like and what they're using the product for, and if they use it at all, to try to help with those issues of people not using it. Maybe you make it a shorter time frame for the person to use it. Maybe it'll be something that expires a little bit sooner so that they feel kind of the pressure to start using it and to start enjoying it. There's lots of different ideas and methods for them to start using something and enjoying it instead of regretting purchasing what they've purchased from you in the first place. So that is the 5 steps of the consumer buying process. So number 1 was a need recognition. Number 2, information search. Number 3, evaluation of alternatives. Number 4, purchase decision. And number 5, the post-purchase evaluation. And among all of these 5 things, there are different steps and things that you can use. And I have even started using this whenever I plan out my content marketing. So if I'm thinking about need recognition for somebody who needs bookkeeping, I start thinking, what are the questions that they would have? What would they like to know? And then I start creating content around that. And then the next step, the information search. So what questions are they going to have? What can I answer for them already? And start creating content around that. And then the evaluation of alternatives. How can I, if they're looking at even just QuickBooks versus another program, how can I persuade them to use QuickBooks? What can I do to get them to look at QuickBooks more than they would at another program? And during the purchase decision, you start to think, okay, so how can I show them that this is what they want, that they do want to use these services, that this is going to help them? And then 5, the post-purchase evaluation. How can I show somebody just how to use QuickBooks better? How can I teach them that, just how to use QuickBooks and how to optimize it, that they don't need all these extra programs for it. And so this is really going to help you with your content marketing, like I said, and even just to understand and really methodically break down your consumer and where they're at and maybe where they're getting stuck. Maybe people aren't purchasing from you because they don't recognize the need. And so maybe if you do just a little bit of work in that area, you can start seeing more results in your sales. All of these things, like I said, all this marketing is going to add up to sales. And if it doesn't, then this is a great place to look and kind of break down the consumer buying process and see exactly how you can help them purchase from you in the end. So I know that that is definitely a lot of information, definitely MBA level, but doing all of this analysis that we've been talking about is going to help you in your business. And if there's maybe a few things per episode that you think, oh yeah, I could totally use that, then I am just so excited about that and that you are going to be using that in your own business. So if you could make sure that you hit subscribe, because this podcast won't be over anytime soon. I'm planning on doing 9 more seasons of this to coincide with the 9 other classes that I'm taking for my MBA. This is only the first season. This is the marketing series. And in the fall, I'm going to start the technology series. And that is an area that I actually struggled with in my own business before I took this class, just understanding some of the lingo and understanding what I needed to do for the technology in my own business. And I know, cybersecurity and things like that's a huge topic now, and I want to address some of those things and how I can help. So that is going to start in either September or October, so make sure that you stick around. And again, thank you so much for listening. I know you're doing a great job in your business, and I'll talk to you again next time.